Indian bazaar is abuzz with the three most dynamic sectors waging price wars that grow fierce by the day. Whether it's the per-second billing to snatch away SIM card customers or the lowest fare announcements to hijack passenger traffic for airlines, the low-cost fever has gripped the nation. Modern retailers are scurrying to find the right value that will attract the great Indian middle class to their threshold. But is it working for them? Clearly not. Out of the 5 low-cost airlines operating in the country, 3 of them, namely Kingfisher, SpiceJet and GoAir, have incurred mounting losses in the last 1 year, whereas Paramount Airlines and Indigo have managed to sustain a marginal profit.
People quite often use the word low-cost carriers. That has to be challenged. We function in an environment, particularly in the domestic environment in India, where we all operate out of the same airports. We are all faced with the same extremely high cost for aviation turbine fuel. In fact, the cost of aviation turbine fuel in the country is about 30 to 35% more expensive than places like Singapore and Dubai. So when you factor in the cost of fuel, when you factor in the cost of these aircraft, when you factor in the cost of crew, where exactly is the low cost?
Unless and until you remove the structural cost, the long-term sustainability of the business is in question. We continue to have fuel where we pay 60 to 70% because of some irrational taxation. And fuel is almost 50% of the operating cost of an airline. Plus there are other taxation issues which I term as negative taxation. So as long as the government actually doesn't remove the structural cost, we will not have a very sustainable aviation business.
While the low-cost airline business is going through turbulent times, the telecom service providers too find themselves in a spot. The per-second billing scheme introduced by the new service provider Tata Docomo caused a ripple effect in the airwaves, making all the other players follow suit, demolishing their tariff plans in fear of losing their customers, heading towards rock-bottom prices.
I think most of the big players in this industry clearly have very strong business sense. So I wouldn't say that this is really in a sense a path towards self-ruin. I think companies over time will be able to kind of work their strategy across very aggressive pricing. But I think what the Indian telecom model has repeatedly demonstrated over the last few years, I think, is new and innovative ways of giving consumers better value and at the same time sustaining a pretty healthy bottom line.
Telecom service providers, all of which had shown considerable promise in the financial year 2007-2008, took a turn for the worse, with almost all players showing a downward trend. All the major players, Bharti Airtel, Reliance Telecom and Vodafone, have all shown a slight decline in revenues this year.
The competition intensity is way beyond what anybody experiences in the telecom space anywhere in the globe, right? Having 12-13 players is by far the most competitive and probably by a multiple of 2, right? And you are actually seeing it's a question to do with timing. The timing of competition is also at a point when A, your price tables are very low, B, penetrated, largely penetrated, C, table on revenues are not moving. So you're going to have 4 materially large new players coming in this kind of a context, right? So you're going to have turbulence.
We are still dependent on voice. There are 3 broad groups. There is voice, there is SMS, and there is music related stuff. Ringtones, caller tunes, music downloads. People are paying for SMS and people are paying for music downloads. They are not paying for voice except as part of your basic package. If you keep dropping this, if this was only 10% and I make losses, it's okay because I'm making money on the other 90. But if this is 60% and I'm making losses on 60%, sooner or later it's going to hit the overall bottom line.
Modern retail, which was expected to grow at an express pace in the coming years, has had a considerable setback, thanks to reckless expansion and intense price competition amongst the large format retailers. While retailers are defensive about their turf, the fact remains that few are doing well enough to sustain their business.
I think we are all discovering a model of efficient delivery mechanism and throughput of every square foot of sales which we do out of the store. So we are learning the business. Everybody is learning the business. Somebody who came in early has learned more. Somebody who's come in later is learning the business. But it's a journey of discovery. Whenever things change, we all learn. So I think retail is a business which is was one of the oldest business in the world, which will remain forever. So one can't question retail business per se, but one can question the cost of your model.
Until 2 years ago, 3 years ago, you saw n number of retail players, modern trade guys, everyone talking, we're opening so many lakh square feet, so many million square feet over the next 3 to 5 years in India. Modern trade is set to grow at an astounding pace. Today, what do you see? All the language is about consolidation, the language is about closing unviable stores, is about making existing stores profitable, and see therefore how the entire, what they speak and has completely changed over the last couple of years.
The telecom and aviation sectors are clearly saturated, offering no scope for any more players in the market. And the furious price wars have fueled the mounting losses. Modern retail too is desperate to cut operating costs for sustainability. So what is the way forward for these sectors?
I think, we have learned a terrible lesson in aviation and in retail. We need to ensure that this is not repeated in telecom, which is our boom sector today as of now.